swing slower but hit the ball further. That can't be a thing, can it? Okay, so it's 1, 2, and pivot through. That's a decent ball, you know. You try that again. 1, 2, pivot through. It's right on line again, this, you know. Towering ball flight. Lofted club in hand. Oh, we're green again. Right, so in each of those 3 videos, they all talk about swinging slower, and yes, ultimately you do swing slower, but for me it's more about sequencing, and they also do talk about that as well. And when I talk about sequencing, what I would refer to is that, generally speaking, as average golfers, if we're not playing very well, what we generally do is the complete opposite to what we should do. We all get a bit quicker. Confidence is low, we get to the top of the backswing and all we want to do is get down and whack that golf ball. We know it's wrong, but we still can't help ourselves in doing it, and we're trying to slow down. But as you know, you play your best golf when you're in a rhythm, your tempo's good, everything's nice and easy, and the game just feels fantastic. It can't go wrong. And when it does go wrong, like I said, we're erratic. And for me, the swinging slower element is, yes, we've got to swing slower, but it's getting a sequence put together. And why I've concentrated on Danny Moore's sequence, if you like, on how we understand what we're doing, get that tempo down, swing with more control, and hit the ball, not necessarily further, but with more control and just as far as we do if we're a little bit erratic. So I'm going to hit my first ball. We've got TrackMan plugged in, and I'm going to give it a bit of a hit. Like I said, well, no concentration on our kind of like, it wasn't a bad strike, it was okay. What we got there, 78.5 mile an hour club head speed, ball speed of 100, only carried 131. It launched low at 13.5 degrees. I've got a traditional 7-iron in hand here, by the way, so it's a 34 or 35 degree 7-iron, I think this is. So you can see from those numbers there, don't forget the one to keep an eye on, is 78.5 mile an hour club head speed and a 131 carry. That was me swinging, I won't say erratically, but certainly with no control, if you like, no thought to any emphasis on tempo. So the next thing we've got to do is the drill in which Danny gives us to look at getting some, I think it's all about just getting some tempo and that sequence into your golf swing. And this kind of 1, 2 and pivot through is fantastic. I can't get it off my sort of brain at the moment. It's ingrained for this last couple of hours since I've been trying it. So first of all, it's about the transfer of weight from your front foot to your back foot. Not a sway, just a transfer of weight. So it's kind of, the first thing is 1 and 2. And all he asks us to do is move the transfer of weight from front foot and then back again. So it's just a 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And that's all we're doing. Moving from one to the other, 1 and 2. And you just keep on practicing those swings. It just feels really easy, 1 and then 2. So it's like, the way I feel it is kind of a bit of a push off with this one and then a push off with my right foot back through. So it's 1 and 2. I'm not caring about where I am in terms of my backswing or follow through. All I'm doing is tempo from the front to back, and it's simple counting. A 1 and a 2 motion, that's all you're doing. And if I hit a golf ball with my kind of 1 and 2 motion, first of all, 1 and 2. We just try that. So 1 and 2. What it does for me is it's just a nice rhythm, there's a nice tempo, I'm able to feel as though the club, the other thing he talks about, and again I perhaps slightly forgot to mention there, is letting sort of feeling the club, the weight of the club, the head, if you like, and letting that sort of follow through in that whole sort of transference of weight, that 1 and 2, and it's all about that rhythm and letting the club head just swing its way through naturally. You're not doing anything, you're not trying to force it, you're not dragging it any sooner. I'm not concentrating on anything else right now apart from the weight of the club head and just letting it follow through. And all we're doing there, like I said, you can see from the practice swing that I hit, and I'm going to hit one more. It just becomes nice and controlled, and it's about 1 and 2. You can feel that club head, just let the club head 1 and 2. It's just dead easy, just a nice simple swing We've got no effort going in there. We're not looking at distance right now. It's just about controlling that club head, 1 and 2. And honestly, just this morning, first thing on a Monday morning, just building up a little bit of tempo, a little bit of rhythm. Just a great little warm-up routine, if nothing else, because like I said, all it does, it just gets you into a nice rhythm. And then when you want to build and add to that, well then by all means, as you would do in a round, you're ready for the first tee. But what a great warm-up routine, first of all. But it doesn't end there, because 1 and 2 are just the first 2 motions. And if you remember when I said about getting something ingrained in your brain, it's that 1, 2 and pivot through, which Danny, I think you should consider putting a trademark on that little saying, because it really is, well, it's really clever in my mind, because like I said, it's a nice little rhyme that resonates in the brain straight away. It gets locked in, you can't forget one. It's a nice and easy one. But the pivot through is the interesting bit, and again, this is where I would say go and look at Danny's video for probably a better explanation than I'm going to give you right now. And but my interpretation of it is this: so you've got 1 and 2, that was easy enough. The pivot through is just, to me, dropping down a little bit into the shot, so a bit of your sort of energy, if you like, transferred into the floor when you're coming into impact, and the pivot through and then pushing off. So again, for me, and again, your interpretation might be different, it was coming down, just dropping down into the shot a little bit, and then coming back up. So the pivot through was, so in a swing for me, it'd be 1, 2, and pivot through. And you've just got that little bit of energy that's then added into the shot, and I think that makes the key difference to where we've got swing slower, so nothing's changed in terms of tempo, but that pivot through is all of a sudden there's getting a bit of energy from the floor exploding into the shot, if you like, and that follow through is where you're not losing out in terms of distance. So if I try and adopt my 1, 2 and pivot through, didn't get that right that time, 1, 2 pivot through, let's give that one a go. So 1, 2 and pivot through. Now all of a sudden we've got a different shot. We're still swinging slower, as you can see from club head speed, but look at the difference in carry. We've almost gained, what is that now? We've almost gained 14 yards of carry, and yet our swing speed is lower. So yeah, the idea is we're swinging slower. I'm going to hit another ball while I'm talking away. The idea is, yeah, of course, we're swinging slower. Granted, we've lost, what was it, almost a couple of miles an hour, 2 or 3 miles an hour in terms of swing speed, club head speed, but we've gained in yardage. So it wasn't just because we swung slower though. We swung slower on the previous shot, like I said, and just 1 and 2 in itself becomes just a little bit, it's body and arms, yeah, you've got a little bit of rotation in there, so you are generating a little bit of power, but the key to it and remaining the distance is the 1, 2 and then that pivot through. And that's the bit where, like I said, just that little drop down into the floor, but making sure you're pushing back off that floor and exploding into a little bit is where that yardage comes from. Now I can't do it without sort of counting in my head 1, 2 and pivot through. Obviously you can't say that out loud, you look a bit of a Burke on the golf course, but trust me, if you just get that ingrained in the brain, it's, I say it on every video we've done, and Hannah is behind the camera here this morning, and we were sort of amazed when I was a bit skeptical about this one, more so than others, because the kind of swing slower, hit it further, it doesn't make any sense, does it? There's a lot of it that doesn't make any sense, but like I said, it's about making sure that you can get that sequence right. And when I referenced Hannah behind the camera, is we were amazed, both of us, when we just came in, first thing this morning I did the 1, 2 was a bit of a warm-up, like I said, and then all of a sudden we've got a yellow flag here out in the distance that we're looking to. Yes, we've got TrackMan to tell us where it's going, but it was literally just peppering the flag, which is something, and very, very straight as well. So 1, 2, and I literally messed that one up and stayed too low. Which again, you know, these aren't magic fixes that just, I literally picked this up a couple of hours ago. You're not all of a sudden going to pick it up and be away with it. This is something you're going to need to practice and, like I said, concentrate on. But I firmly believe 1, 2, it's just that little bit of release after I felt I stayed a bit low. So 1, oh, what a ball that is. What a shot that is. I mean, it's It's everything, like I said, in these videos that have been good so far, is that I'm an average golfer. I come in here sometimes on a Monday morning, we're all over the place. So this kind of drill is fantastic, first of all, like I said, as a warm-up routine to get that tempo going. And I think all you would do is continue to practice that motion, that 1-2, and pivot through. And all you would do, I would think, my guess is that over time, if you continue to sort of work on that, then you can get quicker with it. So right now, for me to do it, the kind of 1-2 pivot through, it's all very controlled. It's a 77, 78 mile an hour club head speed. But I would imagine that if I can still work on that, I can increase that club head speed, but it's important to maintain that control. Otherwise, we're back where we started and it's all become a little erratic. Anyway, the point is, I hope you're enjoying this series as much as I am, because again, I keep referring to Hannah who's behind the camera. We're in my own personal game, in some of these routines that we've tried, it's been a real big difference. Whether I can take that out onto a golf course, well, that remains to be seen. It's all right doing it in here. It's all right doing it when there's no pressure on, but if I can take that onto the golf course, I genuinely believe it's made a real big difference to the way I've been hitting the club so far in these short sort of 5-6 tips is it we've done so far, whatever we're in so far, but they've all been well worth a watch. So as ever, thank you for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe if you don't to the channel already. Let me know what you think of this video. You've probably may have tried it yourself, so by all means, again, give me some feedback, which has been great so far, because I've seen people who've gone away, tried the tip, and then came back and said, and I haven't actually seen some negativity. Everybody, what we've put out so far, have come back and said, wow, this actually does work. So I'm glad to see that, and I do reckon that this will be something else that will be well worth a try. Give it a go, come back and comment. Thank you for watching and the encouragement we've had for this series so far. We'll keep them coming. I'm going to keep on trying these tips and we'll keep relaying them back to you, and hope you keep on watching. Right, I'll see you soon. I'm about to practice my 1-2 and pivot through.